Do you know what really grinds my gaming gears? I'll tell you what really annoys me. The prices of games nowadays. I don't mean new games, of course, it's me. I'm talking about the retro stuff. Now, I was just popping into my local game store the other day, and what I noticed was that some of the games were really, really expensive. Link to the Past, for example, that was the one that really got me. A Link to the Past in there, and here is what got me, right? It wasn't... If it was in the box, I could understand its price point. If it was boxed with manual and everything, understandable. But for an unboxed cartridge, it was in decent condition, yes, but it was still an unboxed cartridge. £60 was the asking point. Why is it that expensive? That's ridiculous. So, here's the thing anyway, okay. So, it really started to get me thinking, why games are so expensive? Why is the Link to the Past that much? Of course, what I understand is that, I'm an economics student, so I understand that speculation, supply and demand, and market forces all play a part in determining the value of games. Therefore, crappy sports games that are released year on year and year and year and year are worth less on the Super NES, say, than games like Super Metroid or the timeless classics like Super Mario World, A Link to the Past, etc., etc., etc. And it makes sense. It makes sense that it should be more expensive. But what I really questioned was, why is it more valuable and worth more money than new games? I mean new games. Like a new Xbox One games are like, what, 55 quid? And some of the bigger AAA games. And I don't understand. Because it's not a new game. Let's take a step back, okay? As much as I love retro games, I have 13 games consoles and over 200 games. I have to like old school games somehow. But what I have to ask you is, it's a 22-year-old game. 22, 23 years old. It's old. It is old. No matter how you try to paint it, it's old. And I draw the line on 9 times out of 10. I draw the line at how much a game is worth if it goes over the price of new games. Because it is outdated, it is old, and you can say the experience is half the enjoyment anyway, but it's still an old game. There's no getting around it. If it was a new game, and the developers are trying to recoup their money, I can understand it. Now, I know what you're saying. You will say that Legend of Zelda is a timeless classic. Yes, it is, but it's still surely not worth that much. The alternatives, I mean, you can play it on the virtual console. You could, it has to be on there. I don't actually own a Wii or a Wii U. Well, I have a Wii, but anyway. It has to be on there. It has to be on there. There's no doubt. And that's going to be cheaper than full price. It's an old game. Second, you can download and emulate it. You can. It's possible. It's legal as well. In fairness, a lot of people consider the legality to be a bit of a grey area, but it is legal. And I know, again, what you're going to say is, but I don't want to. I don't want to emulate. I want to play on the original hardware. Me too. I always play games on my original hardware. That's why I've got 13 old games consoles. Only one of which, and that's my PS2 that I bought today, is actually new. But is actually in the 21st century, rather. But here's the thing, okay? Even if you do want to play it on the original hardware, there are alternatives again. Let me tell you, for £75, you can get yourself a flash ROM cartridge. Now, how that works for your Super NES is you get a flash card and you plug it into your computer, download all the ROMs, put it onto there, and you can play every single game in the Super NES library for £15 extra than one game cartridge. So you can just download it there. And you're still playing it on the original hardware, and it's not a problem. So I really, really fail to understand why it's so expensive. Like, I can understand that some people want the original game. But there are enough people I know of, who, myself included, who don't play, buy games for nostalgic value, who don't exactly have the same sort of, I can't, no, I pirate Mega CD games and I don't care. It's old, it's defunct. I want to buy the original game as much as I can, but games like Snatcher for £50 and Corpse Killer for $99.99, you draw the line. And that's, I think, is one of the biggest problems. We aren't drawing the line. We aren't looking at the alternatives. There are too many people in the retro gaming community who are prepared to pay this kind of money. And for people like myself, who like old games and want to play old games, they're ruining it. But it's not just those people. It's the kind of people that put money on it. It's the kind of people that put a value on something, not knowing what it is. And that is because of this, the internet. what I'm showing you now is part of the reason why it's not the same. Because, you know, a few years ago, and I remember it well, you could go into a car boot sale. I remember seeing A Link to the Past. I saw it. It was there. I could have bought it if I'd have known what it was. I would have bought £5. £5 in the box. And I would have bought that if I'd have known what it was. But I didn't. And it's the biggest, one of the biggest mistakes surely in my gaming ever. Not to buy Link to the Past for a fiver. But now, you go to car boot sales, and car boot sales, even up to a sort of year or two ago, used to be a haven. That and charity shops. They used to be the two places you could still go to get great bargains for a low price. But now, I mean, the big charity shops have eBay stores for their valuable content. And charity shops, they just perceive, not charity shops, even the other ones, car boot sales, they just put a price on it that they perceive. They look at it and go, oh, this must be worth this. It's not. No, it is not. It's not worth that much money. And again, you can say what you like, and I understand that that's how market forces work, and that's how speculation works. But if people aren't exploring the alternatives, and there are people out there who don't understand the value of a game, don't understand that it's old, I'm not beyond, you know, paying money for a game. In fact, I paid £50 for The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, so I'm not exactly behind this myself. I'm not above, you know, paying money for games, but I am above paying a value that is too far to be perceived. If a game is worth more now, like Earthbound, say, Earthbound is £500 in some cases in the box. That's ridiculous. There is no way you can justify that. There are alternatives, there are better ways to play, even if you want to play on the original hardware. And so unfortunately there are so many things making this hard, and that is what grinds my gears. If I want a good game, and I don't want to pay out the arse for it, I'm operating on a budget. I'm not a millionaire. I can't just afford whatever games and game systems I want. It's a massive problem. There are a lot of things that, you know, if you start looking inside, and I was thinking about this for hours, literally like hours, there are a lot of problems with this hobby, and they are big. Because, as I say, I understand that games are fun, games have a value, and people will speculate. I understand that. That's why a 32X is worth more. I don't mind chucking £100 on a 32X. It's rare. It is rare. But Link to the Past was one of the best-selling games on the Super NES.